We're gonna start. Mr. Aristide? Ms. Cobo? Ms. Cohen is out sick. Mr. Each is not here yet. Ms. Estime Irvin had a last-minute emergency. She has to be excused. Ms. Geimer?
Present.
Mr. McDermott?
Present.
Dr. Millian? Dr. Moise? Mr. Reynolds? Mr. Robillard? And Mr. Sanchez.
Present.
Okay.
We are short one for quorum, sir.
Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and begin with the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now the next two items, we'll just go ahead with the presentations.
Yes, the first item is the Mocha Plaza design presentation by Leo A. Daly. They were not able to make it today, so Jeff Geimer, who is our capital projects manager, will be doing the presentation. As you recall, the board had approved for the redesign of the Mocha Plaza and the Mocha building. We have been working with procurement, the procurement department, to acquire an architectural firm and so on and so forth. So we are very happy, we're very pleased to present to you what they have proposed. And then once that is done, we can go down the steps of, we have to get a contractor to actually get the work done, but we anticipate that it will be done by, we pray, by September 30th. So I'm very excited. Mr. Geimer?
Good evening. Again, Jeff Geimer, Capital Project Manager for the City of North Miami. I'm going to be working on this project for the CRA and with Rasha directly. And I've introduced it as the title of the Civic Plaza Restoration Project. As those of you know who have been around for a number of years know, it's officially the Sherwin-Williams Plaza, but everyone knows it best as the Mocha Plaza. So I didn't want to get into semantics, so I just called it the Civic Plaza Restoration Project. What I did here was I just took a quick overhead snapshot from Google. What I'd like you to pay attention to mostly in this overhead shot is kind of the layout of the palm trees that are existing in the plaza as of today. And you'll notice around the reflection pond, some white concrete pads there. There used to be palm trees there as well. When this plaza was first opened, there were 38 of the palm trees there. And as of today, there's 14 palm trees remaining. We lost a number of trees. Just they're not native trees, and a number of them got a fungus and passed away over the years. So, but take a look at the current layout from overhead, and then as we get in for a little further into the slides, I'll show you what the architect is proposing as far as redevelopment of the plaza is concerned, and making it a little bit more event-friendly. As you all know, we've become really an event-based municipality. We have lots of events in this plaza, many, many more than were envisioned when the plaza was first opened. I just went out today and took a few snapshots of the plaza just so you could see exactly what we have as of today. The pavers that are closest to us, you'll notice, are one style, and then the pavers that are in the plaza where the palm trees are in the heart of the center are a different style. The plazas in the center, the bricks in the center, I'll get back to that in a minute. This is the look from, I would say, Cafe Creme, when you're looking towards City Hall, and the look down towards the police department. This is a 33,000 square foot area, so it's going to be all encompassing. We're going to do the pavers all the way down to the police station. These are the main pavers, which are, I think, the main reason that the city and the CRA envisioned changing these pavers out is it really isn't comfortable to women who are walking the plaza in heels. Because they're rounded, it creates a lot of gaps in the pavers, and those gaps
Hurt women's
cause
heels.
women's heels to get stuck in between them, to be honest with you. So for events in the plaza, it's not very, very practical. when you're out there walking around in tennis shoes, or when men are walking around in their shoes, they don't really notice those things, which it was brought to my attention by the women who are on the project team that they've broken a number of heels in this area. So it was news to me, but it makes perfectly good sense.
I can't claim reimbursement.
Another thing with these pavers with the gaps in there, it makes it difficult to clean them, because when you pressure clean them, all the sand comes out from in between the pavers. So it's difficult to go on there with a pressure cleaner and clean the pavers. So approximately 8-9 months ago, we painted these pavers, and you know, some feel it's a better look and others don't. So we're going to go in a different direction completely. This is a site plan that was developed by the architect of record, Leo A. Daly. What I tried to point out to begin with was the difference in the palm tree locations. And what you're noticing here is the bottom part is where City Hall is. That goes up towards the top is Cafe Creme, and out to the left is the police department. The company is proposing going with a square paver, an 8x8 paver, and something that fades out from darker to lighter. As you'll recall, the sidewalk that goes along 125th Street is a white paver. That was installed probably about 7 or 8 years ago now. So this is kind of an idea to blend it going out towards the street. Also, what you'll see is that we've played a little bit with the angles that are existing in the plaza. I'm going to switch for a second. Sorry, I'm going to try and yell. This would be like where the showmobile is located for events going forward. As most of you know, the showmobile used to go up at the top here where Cafe Creme was. When Cafe Creme came in and did their expansion, we were no longer able to put the showmobiles there. Sorry, Dunya's bringing me a wireless. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
She didn't expect me to do that. Thank you. Okay. So this would be an angular location of the showmobile. And playing on the angles here, these little spots here are the light bollards that go through the little black spots there. Those are the light bollards that are currently there. We're going to be changing out those bollards as well. So it's going to be a complete redo of the plaza. But we're going to be relocating a few of these trees as well to keep the angles going here. And the angles take you into so we wanted to play on those angles. And then with this, you have the angles as well. Leo Daly felt that was the best use of the idea. One of our concerns was the relocation of the palm trees as well. They have a landscape architect on board who said that they don't have a problem with relocating those palms, and that they feel comfortable of the survivability of the palms when they are relocated. Because that was one of our concerns, is that we've lost so many. They're delicate palms, and they feel very confident that we'll be able to save them. Another thing you'll see we did is we brought some palm trees back around the plaza, the reflection pond, and some oak trees leading down towards the police station. One of the reasons that the landscaping wasn't taken further to the south is that the area where those pavers are is also used as an event area as well. The showmobile will be set up down where the police station is at, and then you can have events that way as well. So that's why that was left open. And you'll see that the fade of the darker paver out to the lighter paver, and then a little bit of a blending. One of the things that we've asked them to do is use more like probably more like a 60-40 mix of darker pavers to lighter pavers, because you already have the light pavers out here, and we want to make sure that the blend of the darker pavers comes out a little bit more. So that's one of the things that we've asked them to address up front. I'm going to click to the next slide, and it's not much different than this one. And all this one really does is shows the showmobiles, kind of how we're setting them up now, and it just shows you by relocating the palms out of this area, it gives us flexibility as far as the showmobile setup is concerned still. We can still set the showmobile up here. Most of you will remember when we utilized this, any of the swearing-in ceremonies that we've done over the last 8 years or so. This is where the stage has been set up, facing this way. And then some of the big events that we've had recently is we've had a showmobile here backed up that opened up to the plaza this way. So we still have a lot of flexibility.
This is what it looks like.
Point that out, go back to that slide. You just,
Which, the showmobiles?
No, the other one. Keep going back. The one
The
you
new
just
one?
said. That one right there, okay. Using that, can you depict what you were just talking about?
Yeah, this is the artist rendering that I was, that
We're
was
gonna
done.
explain.
And so City Hall is here.
Right.
And then you'll see the angles here. So where the showmobile could be set up this way, facing that way. Or the showmobile can also, this bollard would be removable, where you could still set up the showmobile here, or bring the showmobile in here facing that way on the plaza. But what we felt the best use would be the play on the angles and setting the showmobile up on the angle facing that way. That's the space.
I kind of lost that. Wouldn't you want to like put it back by the building, and that way at least the people from 125th Street would see what's going on?
So the
there?
way it's set up for both.
Huh?
It's set up
can
for
do
both.
you could do both.
The whole point of this presentation, if
You
wanna
could do
click to the
both.
first one,
I'm going to
for
click
those
back
that
one.
came a little bit later, the
So-
first one, right there. So when you look at it, there's a palm tree right there.
Say,
You want me to do the
That,
overhead?
there's a palm tree right there, that's the current situation. So you see there's a palm tree right there that's obstructing the flexibility of positioning the stage or the showmobile. It's not just a showmobile. Last time for Black History Month, we had like a huge stage that we had brought in. So the way they're proposing it, and that what Jeff was showing you, it allows for flexibility of doing it either, like you're saying, off of, from the building itself, from the street, or diagonal for better use. And also, if I'm not mistaken, it allows for proper electrical connection, because we also have limited abilities as we speak right now.
Yeah, one of the ideas is we're going to bring another, this box that you see here is an electrical riser, and the reason it's there is just to bring power for events. Right now, that's any power that you need has to go to this box. So no matter where you set the showmobile up,
gotta-
you have cables that are
cables.
running back to this box. So one of the ideas is, as we go forward, is that we're also, part of the project is to bring an electrical riser down into this area here, so that it's masked a little bit by the building and the landscaping that's going to go in, but we're still able to get power to wherever the showmobile is with minimal impact as well.
You could do underground service without
Yeah.
upsetting
Well-
everything by tunneling. but you
Well,
could torpedo it.
the problem with the electrical, you need it off the ground a certain amount, a certain height, because of the flood elevations, so
But
it
to
can't
get-
be.
What I'm saying is to get the electric there, to use the torpedo, you don't have.
No,
to
no, no,
use the
well,
paver.
but we're going to replace all the pavers.
Pavers. We're replacing the
So
pavers.
when we pull them all out to replace them, we'll just run the wiring then. So this is the first artist rendering that was created. You'll notice the shorter light bollards. The light bollards are the same heights as the ones that are out there now, but we're also running a taller light bollard down here between, I guess, the 2 rows of oak trees that exist. This is like a 6-foot light bollard, a 6, 7-foot, I don't have the exact height, I think it's 7 foot. And it runs the length of the plaza. So it's just gonna bring more light into the area. And I think the next rendering that I'm gonna show you, well, you can see that a little bit more. We're also gonna have uplighting on the buildings. So it'll be lighting that would be installed probably at about this height that would shine up on the buildings to light the buildings up. We recently had an event with City Hall all lit up. The idea is the same type of thing. Do uplighting on the buildings to attract, make it more presentable. And the lighting, you see the round rotunda with the mocha at the
That's where
end.
the gift shop
That's
is.
uplighting as well.
Yeah, that's
So you
where
can
the
have
gift shop
uplighting with
is.
City Hall?
City Hall as well, yes, we're
Yeah.
looking at that, and not just this side, as far as the project is concerned, it's this side only that you can see, but the city itself is looking at uplighting the entire city hall.
Can I comment now?
Yes.
Well, let me show you the next
Next
slide, because it's going to show you kind of the idea of
Okay.
what we're going to do. These bollards contain LED lights. What the city does now is they kind of wrap the bollards to bring different colors in.
Plastic.
But these are going to be LED,
Yeah,
so that you can
See?
change them based on the event. Haitian Heritage
See?
Month, we asked them to give us a rendering with red and blue, so that you could see how the impact would be in the plaza. The one thing that's not shown here is the lights on the building. It would be the same thing. We could change the color wash on the buildings as well.
Okay.
Now, what I would like to do is solicit comments from
Interesting
yourselves as
questions.
the advisory committee, things you like, things you don't like, so we can take them back to the architect.
Seriously? No?
I think everything is great. I have only one, just a couple of questions of the palm trees. So you're moving the trees that are there altogether, they're gone.
Some of them, we're going to relocate
They're
them.
there.
Some of them you're gonna relocate, you're
Yeah.
gonna move all those delicate palms. Are you gonna get rid of all
It's
of
like
them?
two.
4 of them we're going to relocate.
Okay, four.
Okay, and what
It's
are
a
you gonna
different-
do with those? Oh, okay.
They're going to be placed, see where you see
Well,
them in
the way I
this
see
here?
now is the way it's gonna be with the palms that we have now. So you're not taking them all out?
No.
Putting new palms in?
No, the new ones that we're talking about are the ones around the reflection pond.
Those are
And
Bismarck.
we're right now debating here, these are Bismarcks right now. We've asked for a 10-foot clear trunk on them, just to raise them up a little bit. But another thing we're gonna look at also is, across the street here are foxtail palms. So
Right.
we may bring foxtails in because they have a narrower trunk, tree trunk.
Foxtails are very bushy though, I mean, all the way from top to bottom, right?
Well, the ones right behind Cafe Creme in the parking lot are foxtails. They're not, they're trimmed
That's
up.
true.
They're
Okay.
well maintained. As long as you service them, they look good. And they have a narrow base, where the Bismarcks are much wider. And
Okay.
one of the things we're concerned about, that was brought to our attention, is this space here is always used for an advertising space, so that we want to be able to make sure that with traffic driving down 125th Street, that we don't have things blocking the visibility of it.
You want people to see the museum, and see that it's there. The other item I have is, since I walk this area every single day, the white pavers that were put down years ago are a disaster. Disaster. They look filthy, no matter how much you clean them, they look filthy, especially if you're at a location where, a restaurant or somewhere where there's a lot of foot traffic. Oh my God, it's just horrible. So I want to be very careful at how light the tiles are as you approach the walkway, or you're gonna end up with the same situation. That's my concern. Why do we care if the tiles are dark and then we have a white walkway? I mean, that's a definitive architectural element then at that point. I'm concerned because of the problem that with the white that we have now. Just,
We'll definitely address that.
We did discuss that.
you did?
Yes, with
All
them.
right.
We and one of the things that Leo A. Daly did when they came in down and looked at the site and assessed the site is they looked at the bricks that were there that were not going to be touched and tried to look at the blend of the sidewalk into the plaza, and they came back to us at first with a very white brick that
Pink
almost
ones?
matched
Yeah.
what was there.
Part of what
And
they said, what they did.
and we told them that they had to go back to the drawing board a little bit and come back to us with a little bit something different, because we expressed the
Okay.
concerns we had about that.
That's, you already, all right.
Mhm.
But no, it's valid, and please,
It's
this is
terrible,
the
yeah.
time now to address your concerns.
I've seen those bollards, and I've seen them larger, because they're down in the South Point Park in Miami Beach. They're not exactly like that, but they're tall ballards, and they change colors, and they're really exquisite. It's really, really beautiful.
Jeff, one quick question. I thought the palms were gonna have some uplighting as well.
They
It's
are,
not
and
there?
it's
Okay.
one of the things,
Alright.
it doesn't really show on this,
Okay.
is that we're looking to do some lighting on the palms, but we're not gonna do ground-based lighting, because the palms are so high. we're gonna have the lights on the tree, probably at about 10 foot high, and then shining up, so they'll light the underbase of the palm trees.
And that was because I think at one point, like, people, after the Christmas holidays, when we remove all the decorations, people are always questioning, like, it looks so dark, why didn't we leave them before?
Right.
So the option is to do this uplighting that allows us to move it around, am I correct? Am I saying it right? Jeff?
Yeah, it's what you're doing is we're putting it on a strap that
And you can adjust
that can be
it.
adjusted, and it can be expanded with the trees, so you're
So
not
it'd always
choking
be
out the
there.
tree as well. But you'll notice, like on the oaks that are out there right now, and Mr. Reynolds, you see it very well. Those lights get kicked, they get beat up
It's
all
just a
the time.
disaster.
So we're looking at changing the lighting on the oaks. We're looking at changing the lighting around the reflection ponds. So all the lighting is going to be changed. We're trying to go with something that's a little bit more permanent. The lights that are on the oaks were never meant to be permanent, but people
No,
liked them so
they're
much they
terrible,
became
yeah.
permanent. But
Oh, I see.
it's enjoyable for people to, to refocus the lights, or people accidentally kick them and break them, and they're not built for this commercial purpose. So that we'll be changing that as well.
That's great. That's
Okay.
great.
I have a question.
Would you?
The lights, since you're going all the way to the parking lot by the police station, are you gonna change out those lights there? Because those things are just as bad.
The red bollards were not as part of the scope, the ones in front of the police station, but and because the scope really ends where the pavers end, so but it's something that we'll have the specs for these lights, and that's something that maybe the city can take on separately. You know,
When you have the
They're just as
specs
bad.
for the lights, I'd like to see them. If
Uh,
possible.
I'll forward them to Rasha.
Oh, you have them already?
They forwarded us a sample set, not a selected set,
That would
but
be
I could
great.
forward you the sample set that was given to us. But it's not a final set.
I understand, that would be great, okay.
So,
Yeah. Jeff, did they it looks like it's very crowded there at the entrance to the museum. Did the architects look at perhaps opening that up a little bit more?
This is really what they did was they followed the same exact palm pattern that's out there. Most of those palm trees are already pre-existing, to be honest with you. And
Yeah, I
with
know it's a little,
with the
it's a
clear
little
trunk-
crowded there, yeah.
I think one of the issues we had when we were going through it, because we did ask about relocating the palms and everything, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you need some kind of shade, some kind of, buffer. And if you don't have as many of those palms, and if I'm not mistaken, Jeff, some of them had already been removed, right?
Yeah, these are the
So we
ones.
had a total of how many again, you had said?
There were 38.
38 before. And so over the time,
We're down
Yeah.
to 14.
we're down to 14, and now
But-
we want to relocate. So one, we're losing what we had before, the original, but you also don't want to have it bare because of the sun. You
But the
need some
two,
kind of-
the two that you see at the Mocha entrance and are at the closest to the entrance, they're already pre-existing. They're already there.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether they had thought about opening it up maybe when they move the trees to,
Yeah, no.
Okay.
you know?
You can talk to
I
them
could
about it,
definitely,
but
I could definitely bring that up.
I think our challenge really was when you look at using it and activating it, where can you put the showmobile? Where can you set it up for the best use? Looking at the past events, we've had to deal with wiring and cables on the floor. Seating is very, clunky and so on and so forth. But, again, we've been talking to Natasha Colebrook-Williams, the acting MOCA director throughout. She's part of the team that lost her heel in the plaza, by the way. So she's been involved, and she's very comfortable with what it is that we presented. And it was really her request to make sure that the trees did not obstruct the reflecting ponds,
Yes, the wall.
the wall. So, they're
Well, I'm
comfortable.
talking about the
No, I know,
front.
but what I'm saying is, like, going through the whole process, she's been there at the beginning. She was actually very comfortable with having those palms there.
I'll bring
for
your
what they need.
comments. We have an internal committee as well as the Leo A. Daily. I'll definitely,
But the
My
palms
goal
are,
is-
the palm locations are staying the same as they are now,
Mhm.
right?
there's
Well,
They're there,
there's
right?
4 of them
Yeah.
that are going to be relocated as part of this project.
but those are
Relocated or
existing.
removed?
Relocated, like moved from one area and into another. But we could definitely address that as part of the relocation concerns, with our internal group. So I'll definitely, I wrote that down, and we can address that as a comment.
So we're relocating the 4 there, we're adding trees along, I just wanna make sure, adding trees all along down, by the police station, cause there's none now. And so if you're activating there, again, it's about shade, and also some trees around the reflecting pond. So as soon as they decide which kind of palm, it's either the Bismarck or the other one, to make sure that it doesn't obstruct the wall.
Yeah,
So-
and we did discuss bringing a more shade-oriented tree into the plaza, but unfortunately, they're not good for, I guess, an active plaza, because the trunks and the base would kind of block the views to the showmobile. So the idea was to keep the mature palms that currently exist, because the bases are narrow. And yeah, I mean, for events that happen at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it doesn't create a lot of canopy. But we're hoping that the canopy that's going to be a little bit further to the west with the additional oaks will be sufficient for everybody.
Right. Also, and maybe the picture isn't very clear, but the last couple of events we've had at the police department, particularly the last one, the Fact Festival, the showmobile was, see where the walk is? The showmobile was backed up to the walk and facing out towards the parking lot.
Well, it's also, I mean, you could do it that way, but we could also, what the manager envisioned is having the showmobile here and facing this way down the plaza, so that you could have this as an event area as well for more quaint events, not your 500-person event, but your 200-person event. But you could easily, we're not gonna impact that, and you could turn it around and do it towards the parking lot as well.
Yeah, see, that's what they did. Were you at the Fact Festival?
I was not.
Okay.
No, actually, the fact
Originally-
is we put it where the O and A's on the
Right.
wall for the Mocha building is where the O and A's. It's not further back where the opening is. It's
But
where
You
the
put it
O
on the
and A's.
Mocha letter?
But we,
Yeah.
to
We put it
start
in the
with, we
grass.
didn't want it there to begin with. We wanted to put it somewhere else, and then they ended up putting it back where it had been the year before. So we're open to moving it wherever.
Well, I remember, I think it was in March when we had like double events, right? Was it the women event? So you had Jazz at Mocha in the back, right? You took it away.
No, I'm just showing you here because
So you had-
you have a clearer view of the open area that
Okay,
we're keeping.
So you had Jazz at Mocha, the stage was there facing 125th Street, and then you had that huge AC tent, there was a job fair, there was a dinner, there was a reception. Both things were happening at the same time, and you were able to accommodate the people from Jazz at Mocha and for this event. So, we're looking at making sure that it is practical and multi-purpose to meet our needs.
See, we're only bringing in 3 oak trees to the south, where the grass area is, south of the reflection pond, to your left. So we're not blocking out that entire area. You still have the flexibility there to have events there.
Yeah.
And I think that was the idea, was what Rasha just brought up, is when we had Jazz at Mocha and we had the job fair, we had 2 different areas of the plaza that were being utilized at practically the same time, but you were still able to accommodate both events. And, the idea originally that was proposed was to continue the oak trees all the way down to the police station, and that was opposed because then it took away that as an event area.
You say you have some more renderings for us, Jim?
It was
No,
for the women.
this is the artist renderings that we've been provided. So these are the renderings that exist. What I did say is that I have some tentative specs for like the type of lighting that were given to me. I don't have those as part of the presentation because they're not, anything. They're detailed specifications, and I just thought.
Jeff, would you do me a favor? Would you point out where the pond is now on this?
It's right there by the blue.
The purple looking,
See right there.
the reflective one?
Yeah.
Bottom
That's
one.
gonna be it right now, all right, that's gonna be, okay, I couldn't see it behind the trees.
Well, what they did is they've changed these lighting as well, and they're showing the blue light reflecting onto the pond, so that's why it looks a little different. Because we're gonna be able to, those colors will change as well.
So, but it's gonna be, extend behind the trees.
Sorry, Dunya. Yes.
It's gonna kill you.
Right.
Yes, this is the reflection pond. You can see the borders right here. So that's one of the Bismarcks. That's another Bismarck that's going to show the backside of it, and then there's 2 more Bismarck palms right here. So that's the reflection pond. All these lights around the base are being changed out because they malfunction a lot. now, but they realize that this was built in 1994, so they're 23 years old.
What, that, no, 97.
The plaza?
It opened up in 97.
Well, I'm sorry, the plans were from 94, so 97, so they're 20 years, the lights are all 20 years old.
They
They should-
opened the museum when we opened the police station, and I think that was open
It was, I still remember it's 97.
97.
97,
It's
July
on the,
97.
yeah, it's on the plaque on the building.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a price for this?
We're working on right now is is about $400,000,
Which was what you had approved. in
which was the
budget.
approved amount.
Yeah, we're just now
Um,
going through the steps.
The first number that the architect came back to us with was around 6, and but that was a very dull pencil. We went through it really quickly as staff and saw. And the architect's going to be very careful when they're giving us an initial number, and they're going to be high before they start pulling things back. So we feel pretty comfortable with the 400 number. The other thing that Rasha pointed out and is timeline. What we're going to do, we need to get this done in an expedited manner. So once this goes through approval, then the architect would start working on construction documents. Our goal is to get a contractor before the CRA advisory committee and board for July.
Wow.
So where we can start construction the end of July, early August.
Oh, that'd be nice.
And the construction timeline is going to be 75 to 90 days.
October 1st, and be ready for the
So-
new season.
Although Rasha wants to be done by September 30th, I'm looking more at like October 31st.
You know, with regard to the pavers, I have to agree that white is absolutely
Yeah.
horrendous.
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd want to put it, what is it?
No, it's
I said I
gray.
agree, the
Yeah,
white's
I mean,
terrible.
Yeah, but we're not putting white, it's
They were
gray.
beautiful for a
and-
year.
and-
It's
Mhm.
horrible.
Yeah.
All the
Now it's
merchants that
horrible.
I spoke with, they were all
Doing-
complaining about it. and,
Great.
It's
Everything
blinding.
looks dirty all the time,
I
no
know,
matter
it's a
what you
beautiful
do.
site.
Every time
That's
we
a
go
DOT.
by, my husband mentions about it. how
It's horrible.
dirty it is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible.
Cause
and,
yeah, but it's not DOT road.
I mean, I don't know what's wrong with the pavers there now. I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, we do.
But if you have a problem with them, and if you want to get rid of them, and you want to donate them, I have a good charity. You can
I
give
Okay,
think
to
we
no
should put
problem.
money in a trust fund to be donated to people who lose their heels.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
right.
A lot
thank you.
cheaper.
Yeah, but no, I mean, at the end of the day,
Very
that was part of our commitment as far as the CRA to give the Mocha Plaza and the Mocha Museum a facelift as we're looking at revitalizing the downtown. The building has been painted, we're looking at other plans to actually update the courtyard now. So this is the next step. We have to get it done by a certain time frame so we can keep it, our capital projects moving. Okay?
Anybody have any other questions?
I do. I have
Oh,
one
okay.
question. The lights are gonna go all the way to the parking lot? Is that what you said?
No.
They're going to
But
go
it's kinda
to,
hard to
they're
see.
going to go to where the police station is.
Is the the
But there's,
courtyard.
It's like a
but there's
sidewalk.
still room for the showmobile?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Without the, with the
Mhm.
lights?
Yes.
it's not gonna be obstructing it.
Well,
It
I,
just looks
one,
like
think
it
it's a
goes-
great, I think it's great. I
Yeah?
think it's
Mhm.
very efficient, not more than we need, but very updated and looks
Mhm.
very nice place.
And Jeff, thanks for being on top of this, moving it along.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Rasha's cracking her whip. It's
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
That's not true. That's not true.
All right,
There's things
Jeff,
like that.
thank you very
Mr.
much
Williams,
again.
Can you come and set up while I go to the next item?
Okay.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Moise is here, Dr. Million is here, and Mr. Each is here
Mhm.
for the
Right.
attendance. Thank you for coming. All right. Our next item is a presentation from HCT, which is our annual audit. While he's setting up for his presentation, I'd like to make sure that you are aware that our finance director, our team is here. So our finance director, Miguel Augustine, is here. Margaret Miller, our assistant director of finance, and obviously Mr. Terry Henley, who's always here, our assistant budget director, is here as well. And we all worked as a team to go, get our audit done in a timely manner.
Okay.
And in front of you, you have Mr. Thomas Williams representing HCT.
Ready?
Yep.
Good evening, members of the advisory board. As Rasha said, my name is Thomas Williams. I'm a representative of HCT, and I am here to highlight some of the key points in the 2016 fiscal year audit. First couple of slides, just a brief overview of what the slides will contain. Just the purpose of the CRA. We're going to have the list of the board members, get to the good stuff with the audit opinion, a couple of slides on the summary of the numbers for this year, and as well as a comparison to 2015, and then management letter comments, and then questions or clarifications if there are any. You're all members of the advisory board, so I don't need to bore you on the purpose of the CRA. Basically, the CRA, the North Miami CRA is charged with the responsibility of eliminating conditions of blight that exist within the city and then helping improving the quality of life. There goes the list of the board members as well as the advisory yourselves. So now to the good stuff. For the fiscal year 2016, there was an unqualified opinion, meaning that the financial statements presented fairly. There were no issues, no adjustments that needed to be made. Looking at the balance sheet, you'll see for 2016, I'm sorry, total assets were 4.4 million as compared to 3.2 million, so you'll see an increase of 1.1 million. The one thing that we do want to highlight there when you do get a draft of the report, note 9, you'll see that with the capital assets during the year, there was an, after doing some research and repurposing the land held for sale, there was discovered an impairment loss. So that number last year, if you have the report for last year, and it highlighted in 09, that number last year was 652,000, and with a total impairment loss of 518,000, which will get you to the 133,000 number right there. Everything else seems to be in line. When you get down to the net position number on the next slide, we'll highlight why that number, the $1 million increase. When you look at the revenues and expenses from compared to last year to this year, one thing you do know with the CRA, as you increase your activity and you start revitalizing the neighborhoods, you get more income. And so the first part, you'll see that there was a $1.6 million increase, and that's mainly due to increased activity in the CRA and helping revitalize and building up that tax base. As well as you'll see in the expenditures, you'll see that there was definitely an increase from last year to this year of 900,000. So as you do more work, as you put more resources into the community, you receive more money. And at the end of the day, you'll see you'll note that the increase of 1 million from last year to this year in the net assets. And the next slide here is just highlighting some of the budget to actual numbers and how came under. You'll see that the revenues, although we didn't get quite as much as the budget, we certainly definitely spent less than we budgeted for, and so you come out with a positive $1 million in net asset increase over revenues over expenditures. Management letter comments, last year there were none, and again this year there were no comments. And basically comments are stuff that we believe the processes that could have been done better. So for this year we did not find anything as well. At this time I'll take any questions, comments, concerns, issues you'd like to get off your chest.
No, the only comment I have is that this is certainly a great improvement over years past. And I think that, again, we want to thank so many people, Duke Sori, Rasha, Terry Henley, who is,
In the finance
Terry, raise
department.
your hand back there, guy.
Why don't we have the team stand up? And let's give
Yeah,
them
let's
a
Terry
Yes.
and Rasha
And Miguel.
and Miguel.
Margaret.
Come
They're
on,
the
stand
behind
up.
the scenes people.
There you go. Yeah, congratulations to everybody, and particularly, and as I say, unfortunately, our Deputy City Manager, Duke Sori, isn't here, so plaudits to him as well. I know he and Rasha and Terry were like the three musketeers when we started out on a new direction, and it certainly is a welcome change from years past. So, and I think your audit shows that.
Yes.
So, any questions from anybody on the audit? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
And we'd like to reiterate those statements. Thank you very much to the staff for getting us what we needed and helping making this year a successful year.
Okay,
Thank you.
again, thank you very
you.
much. Okay,
Next item for your consideration is a resolution to approve an MOU with 859 and 889 Northeast 125th Street LLC. Again, this is the, oh, we're not looking at that. This is the same as the other MOUs that we had done. This is the property where Gary Rubenstein Antiques is. We were not able to bring it to the board for consideration when we brought the other property owners because Mr. Rubenstein was going through certain technical and legal things that they had to finalize before he was able to do this. Unfortunately, Mr. Rubenstein is not here today and this week because he's having back surgery, but he has read the MOU and he says he's ready to sign as soon as the board approves it. There are no objections again from our attorney who's not able to make it because he had a conflict at another regularly scheduled meeting at another CRA. So before you again, it's just to allow 6 months for the CRA to, it's a good faith understanding that during the time that we're going through our due diligence of appraisal and so on and so forth, he will not entertain another request to sell his property and vice versa. We will not, not keep our word that we will go through the due diligence. Those are it's 3 folios and it's 3 properties. Again, maybe it's west of Canne à Sucre. It's those 3. And he occupies 10,000 square feet for his furniture store, but the other ones are tenants. There's a cartoon, a comic book. There's Haute Marché, and I think there's a new tenant that's moving in that he has there that's on a year to year until we finalize it. So, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Looking at the 3 photos.
yeah.
So if you don't have any questions, if you can entertain a motion to approve.
Okay, well, I think a couple people are looking
Okay.
at it right now, just to refresh their memories. Have any comments?
Go ahead, refresh our memory.
Okay.
Since you're gonna refresh our memory, go ahead.
I said people are reading it to refresh their memories, so I said.
So just to give you a background, again, as part of our redevelopment plan that was approved in December and also within our interlocal agreement with the county, that we said that we were going to redevelop the downtown to include a parking garage, apartments and retail and so on. And these properties were determined as high priority by the parking study that we had done. And because they are in front of city-owned lots that are, that we intend to redevelop. So, like I said, we had already done an MOU with Mr. Reynolds, Mr. Gozlan, IMC Equity, Mr. Urim, and we had done it with the Loons as well. Mr. Rubenstein was the last one, and he travels a lot. Sometimes he's not available, but this time we were able to get, everything. He had reviewed it, and he's ready to negotiate with us. So it's pretty much like I said, there's no monetary obligation. It's just for us to go through the process of determining if we can negotiate a deal to purchase, and it gives us 6 months window. After that, if he wants to entertain purchase from someone else, it's fine. Of course, any agreement we make has to come back to the board for approval as to the amount of purchase.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, okay, moving on to the.
Item number 4,
Yes, the
So,
interlocal.
I'm gonna actually, okay, because I was at the Florida legislature is the other item. Okay, the interlocal agreement, as you know, the board, the Miami-Dade County had approved our interlocal agreement, giving us 29 years to 2044 with some milestones. Within that, there was one caveat, as you recall, was to reduce the boundaries of the CRA by July 1st, or we sunset. We had presented to you and to the CRA board and the city council in February that we've considered the option and we decided to leave the boundaries as is. So just giving you an update, the manager and I have met with 90% of the county commissioners one-on-one to explain to them why it is that we're proposing this. We've met with Commissioner Sally Hayman. She's one of the district commissioners. She's going to put it on the agenda. She has to sponsor it, and so on and so forth. This is just providing you an update because, you know, today's May 15th, and if we don't get this matter to the Board of County Commission in a timely manner, July 1st is our sunset date. Her staff is working on it. The manager sent a letter to the commissioner last week, asking her to sponsor it, and again, like I said, it's just an update. As soon as we hear from her and the county staff that they put the item on the agenda, we'll let you know. Again, we're just fighting, you know, kind of like trying to beat the clock at this point.
Okay.
Okay, and one last item, the manager and I will be at the county commission tomorrow because our budget's already up, believe it or not. Remember, we updated it in February, it's already on the agenda for approval. So we will be there tomorrow morning until the item is approved.
The manager's gonna be with you?
Yes, yes. So we'll be there most of the day. So, okay. And speaking for the city CRA attorney on the Florida legislation, unfortunately, yay, the two items that we were bracing ourselves for did not pass. They were busy, the priority was the budget, they were busy on the budget, so the items did not pass. That does not mean that next year, they're not gonna bring it up again.
Oh, they will.
Yes, you're gonna have a new chairperson, you're gonna have, you know, so it is our responsibility to still work with our legislators and to make sure they understand the value of what it is that we do. I think I mentioned to you when we were going through the process of, you know, sunsetting and being so strict and restrictive, we didn't have any objections on the reporting aspect because it was like a lot of reporting requirements that they had. For us, it was the inability to do any form of redevelopment. It went to the phase of only allowing to purchase and clear lots for affordable housing, no commercial, to no capital investment whatsoever, and it still had a sunset date of 2037. So there were several different phases of it that we were following. I'm you know, I could bet a buck that like next fiscal year, half of those items are gonna come back up again.
Yes.
So we just have to be ready and make sure that we show them and we mark it and show the value of what it is that we do here. Okay?
Very good.
So, for the executive director report, I have Chief Beige here. I did not give him the opportunity last time to present on the police quarterly report because our agenda was full at the time, if I'm not mistaken. So I've given him the opportunity to come back up again and present his quarterly report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And Rasha kind of gave me the opportunity last month. I did get to present to the advisory board, but I didn't get
Okay.
to officially present to the city
CRA
council
board.
because that meeting went short. So I'll recap just for consistencies for both the advisory board and then for the CRA board next week. To start off with, the downtown CRA officer report, and this was for the second quarter, so it's basically from January through the end of March. So the numbers may be a little outdated. We'll come back in July to give you the third quarter report, but for the second quarter it was 695 business contacts where they actively engaged with business owners in conversation. They checked on 1,446 businesses and answered 22 calls for service in the downtown area. They came to City Hall 316 times, and they made contact with 1,894 visitors to the downtown CRA area. One thing to highlight, there was a bolo from Bay Harbor from one of their tag readers, and that's a project that Rasha is also looking into for the downtown North Miami CRA area and also the Northwest 7th Ave corridor. But the tag readers basically read every single license plate that goes by. They read them across a hot sheet of wanted cars, stolen cars, anything that the police may be looking for. And the car was actually stolen out of Orlando. So the BOLO was issued by Bay Harbor. It was coming westbound. The CRA officer was alert, set up on 125th Street, and was able to get behind the stolen car and stopped it at the 7-Eleven and was able to take the subjects into custody without incident. She was able to properly set up, tactically approach the vehicle as the driver went inside the 7-Eleven. Other officers stopped the driver, and she was able to detain several people that were also inside the car. So that was an outstanding job done by the downtown CRA officer. For the crime reports, there were 12 crimes reported in the second quarter, and of them, 9 of them were crimes of opportunity. And when I mean a crime of opportunity, it's somebody that left a cell phone down on the counter at McDonald's, it's somebody that left their purse and came back for it and the purse was gone. So the majority of the crimes are crimes of opportunity. The 3 crimes that were not a crime of opportunity was one lady was walking down the street and claims that her wallet was taken out of her purse, which was a pickpocket, and she believes it happened somewhere in the area of City Hall. There was another car that was left in the overnight hours of the parking lot, in the municipal parking lot, and it was broken into, and they had the vehicle locked with nothing left in the vehicle, supposedly. And the last one was several people ate at a restaurant and skipped out on the bill. The other crimes that were in the CRA, that's one of the crimes that gets reported. Of the crimes listed, all the rest were crimes of opportunity, where somebody left something behind and somebody took something. So that was for the downtown CRA. For the west side, the report is very similar. For the west side CRA, the officers made 441 business contacts, and where they engaged business owners in conversation. They checked on 783 businesses, answered 13 calls for service, and made contact with 694 people on the northwest corridor. Some of the highlights: they arrested a male attempting to commit a fraud at a business. They arrested 2 shoplifters. They issued several trespass warnings to subjects that were loitering in the various plazas, and they recovered a stolen motor scooter. They also talked to businesses about target hardening, especially the businesses of CVS, the CVS Pharmacy, the AutoZone, Family Dollar, and 7-Eleven. And those businesses are businesses of interest to the officers that work the Northwest 7th Avenue corridor. 11901 Northwest 7th Avenue is the 7-Eleven. It's one of the newer businesses that had opened up there. There were 7 shoplifting reports there, and the majority of them occurred between 1 and 3 p.m., which are the same hours that we have our CRA officer working. So our CRA officer spoke with the management of 7-Eleven. There was also 5 reported at the AutoZone and 3 at the Family Dollar. Those are all shoplifting. Shoplifting was the predominant crime along that Northwest 7th Avenue corridor. There's only 2 crimes that were not property crimes reported. One was an assault in the alleyway to the west side of Northwest 7th Avenue. It was a group of people walking. They got into an argument, and one person in the group pulled a screwdriver on the group and threatened to stab somebody else in the group. Unfortunately, that goes down as an assault and is also listed as a violent crime. The other one was a robbery, which was a robbery by sudden snatch, right across from the Wendy's at the bus stop. It was about midnight, and a lady was sitting on the bus bench, and somebody came by and snatched her purse from her. So that was the only other violent crime that was reported in the Northwest corridor. So the majority of crimes there are still property crimes, and we still continue to speak with the business owners about target hardening and limiting the crimes of opportunity. That information was given to the officers, and they speak with the business owners as they patrol the area. We're also working on a project to link the video cameras, which we spoke about at the several meetings. Rasha has a quote from a vendor to start the back office software, and hopefully by the next meeting we can give you an update and tell you whether we have the back office software installed and what our process will be for businesses to start tying into the police department.
And it's
And
called?
It's called North Miami Connect will be the name, and we'll be working on a logo for it. And also part of the North Miami Connect program or platform, the tag readers will also be able to integrate into the same platform. So we're hoping by the end of the fiscal year to have both projects up and running, a few tag readers and the North Miami Connect program.
Will we be the first community in South Florida to do this?
To have tag readers, no. Most communities in
No.
South Florida have tag readers. For the North Miami Connect, yes, probably in South Florida. There are several cities across the nation, but most of them are in the Midwest or in the Northeast.
So this is gonna be a great PR thing.
So yes, we'd be one of the first ones. We're also,
It is.
Comcast.
People
Sure
think,
they
people
have
think of North
CRA on
Miami, they
there.
think of crime.
Yeah,
We do things like this, I mean, it,
yeah, I know.
and there's some cities that got some very good marketing off it. Comcast is also gonna be rolling out a business surveillance program for businesses very similar to see the residential ones that you see on the commercials. Comcast system will also be compatible with our system, so whether you go through Comcast, whether you put up your own cameras, or whether you lease cameras from various vendors, we're hoping to be able to integrate them all into a single platform.
wow.
That's a great,
Wow.
that'll be great. That'll be great. And as Clark said, it'll be great publicity for us.
We try to get a lot of PR out of that, we
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
Shows that we're the cutting edge of something, so.
Exactly. Dr. Moise, you wanted to?
Just two quick questions. The first question, how does the tag reader works?
No problem. What a tag reader does is as a car passes by, it reads the actual tag.
I know, but the.
It takes a picture of the tag, and then the picture is then processed for the alphanumeric characters on the tag. Once that's converted into a data stream, that data is then run through a database, and it will determine whether the car is stolen. Most of the cars in the database are stolen cars, or if the police are looking for the cars because the person is a wanted fugitive, is felony crimes, usually for felony crimes, and the police department can set whatever threshold they want on the tag readers. It also works for investigative purposes, so if something was to happen, we can then go back to see what tags have passed by
Right.
a certain point at a certain time, so maybe we can narrow down some subjects.
How big is the equipment? Is it
It's
just-
very small. A tag reader is very small. A tag reader is no bigger than probably that box that's sitting on top of below the computer right there. It's just a small little camera that would go on a pole or the side of a building or something else like that, and then it would read the tags. Almost very similar to the red light cameras that you see on the poles, but they're probably even a little bit smaller than what the red light camera sizes are. And then the tag would then be read, and the department would have access to the information if an alert went off.
How long does the process take
For which process?
for reading the tag?
very
and
It's very
matching it
fast.
up?
Very
It's
fast.
almost instantaneous. It may take
It's
seconds.
almost like how they take your toll and you're passing, like boom, boom, boom.
It's very
Yeah.
similar to the Sun
Oh,
Pass. Yes,
okay,
correct. The Sun Pass process.
Yeah, they already
Bay
take your
Harbor,
picture.
Bay Harbor has tag readers at the toll plazas and on 96th Street and a few other places in Bay Harbor. I don't know if North Miami Beach has any. Fort Lauderdale has a bunch. City of Miami has a bunch. There's a lot of cities that have a bunch of tag readers.
So the
Yeah.
issue for us with the tag readers is finding either existing poles that are facing the road or a property owner who will give us the
No.
permission, right?
Not quite. The issue we have with tag readers is the state of Florida is adamantly opposing them on the FDOT right of way. So either we'd have to find city right of way,
Yeah,
or we'd have to find a private property owner that we could put one on, such as the overhang right there from the Mocha Cafe, that lip that sticks out towards the edge of the road
property owner.
would be an ideal location for a tag reader. Other areas where we have a lot of built-to lines in the downtown area, so a lot of it is built right to the edge of the public right-of-way where there's not a parking lot in front. So anywhere there's a build-to line, we could probably put a tag reader. The same thing on West Dixie, the same thing on Northwest 7th Avenue. So until the state changes their opinion on putting them on public right-of-way, we have to look for other
Private.
options.
The
Yeah.
state's not allowing.
Correct. The state has given an opinion that the only thing authorized by the state legislature to go on the FDOT right-of-way are red light cameras. And anything other than a red light camera is not authorized on the FDOT right-of-way.
And you know, most of our, all our major corridors are a state road, 125th, West Dixie 7th. It's Northeast 6th? Yeah,
Yes,
Northeast 6th
Northeast 6th
also
Ave.
is a state road. So all the major corridors that we would like to, work on. So we will be actively pursuing certain property owners on one or two of each major corridor to allow us to put that up.
And the legislature didn't entertain changing it this year?
Not this year. The Florida Chiefs of Police Association and the Miami-Dade Chiefs of Police Association have both taken a stance that they should be allowed and have passed resolutions similar to that, but nothing's been done in Tallahassee as of yet.
Marijuana.
Yeah.
Oh, everything got delayed, so,
The marijuana didn't go too well either.
yeah,
so.
everything got delayed.
Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
We appreciate it, appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, one thing we can do now that we have a quorum, we never did get the approval of the
The
minutes.
minutes,
So we
yes.
can go back and do that. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes? All right, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public comments?
Well, no, sir.
Oh, you
The
wanna talk
Chinatown
about-
Master Plan, I'm not done presenting for the executive director.
Okay.
So, May 25th is the last Chinatown Cultural Arts and Innovation District Community Workshop. This is where you will see the proposed artist rendering and the master plan, rendering, and the book on how we intend to redevelop this corridor. I invite you all to come, please. There will be light refreshments, not full dinner, but light refreshments mean appetizers.
I missed the dinner, that's
Yeah,
what happened.
it was very
So
good,
now
it
I'm
was very
coming
good.
anymore.
It will be at the
Yeah.
Gwyn Margolis Center, and again, I was asked why we picked Gwyn Margolis, which is not in the district, is when we did it at the JCC, at the Joe Celestine Center. I did it for 80, we had 130 people show up, and it was like, we were scrambling to find tables and chairs to accommodate people. As this is getting a lot of traction and publicity and so on and so forth, we felt it was appropriate to have it somewhere that can accommodate, seating and so on. So I'm anticipating about 200 people,
Probably need
residents and
parking.
businesses. I know, but that's the only place I can, accommodate, people. I encourage carpooling, if you can manage
put it
that.
in the
But it'll be at 5:30. The presentation starts at 6 o'clock. The food, the reception aspect of it will be at 5:30. So please encourage, as many people as possible, and we also will be live streaming. You can watch it from your home if you cannot make it live streaming, simply because we have a Chinese contingency in Shanghai, and they were there, watching it online and texting Tanya and myself their comments. So they will be watching and they want to see the final product. The manager and I and the councilman have, going through the process with the architect, we've seen some of their renderings. It's very avant-garde, very, like, things that we haven't seen, and we're very happy. So, so that's it for that part. The only thing I want to add is that in June and July will be very busy. June, I will be presenting the new grant guidelines. I will probably send it to you in advance, simply because it's several. We're changing how we're approving, and providing these grants. One of them is the cost of construction has gone up, so that we could stop getting people coming back, and because the cost was too much, and, and so we're changing that. We've created new grants. One of them is, for instance, a capacity building and retention grant. This is to help the existing mom and pop businesses that want to stay as throughout the redevelopment, but they need that technical assistance. They need a CPA, they need a marketing, or they need like a merchandising expert to help them redo, their existing business, so they can be prepared for the redevelopment, and also for new clientele that they wouldn't have, seen otherwise. So I intend to bring that to you in June. Also, the manager wants me to do a budget workshop. That'll be new for me. But we will be presenting a budget workshop, and it's pretty much telling you what it is that we've done so far and what we intend to do in the next year, to see if we're still on point. I will make sure that whatever it is that I present to you is tied directly to our timeline, our benchmarks with the county, and also with the plan. So I will bring that to you. In July, we do have, some grants, and in July, I'll be bringing you the master plan, the Chinatown master plan, the full master plan for approval. And then after that, you guys go in recess until August, when I present the new budget for you to approve.
Recess is starting July 1st.
No, recess is after the July 11th council meeting. And then they recess until August 20-something, I forgot when.
Fourth Tuesday in August.
Yeah, so we will be, right after the July meeting, we're in full recess, and then I will be bringing you the budget, next year's budget for approval at the August meeting, if all goes well. If we're still around.
Okay. Any old business to come before us? Any new business? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Turn those